Hi, we're back. Proficiency exam. We love it. We love it. Mr. N talking here. Hopefully not by myself, right? Well, so far I'm talking by myself because I'm recording this. But guys, problem number 6. Um, let's look over. An equation is shown below. 4x squared minus 1 over 2y minus 9y minus 5 over 3. Everything equals z minus 3y with y different than 0. And do you guys know why that y different than 0 is given to us? Do you know that? Well, let's look at the first fraction here. What do you have as a denominator? 2y, right? If your y would be 0, what can you tell me about that fraction? You're right, that fraction will be undefined. So whenever you have variables into your denominator, you have to make sure that you find for what values that denominator will be 0 and exclude those values from your solution set. The question is, which is an equivalent equation solved for y? Okay, so this problem is asking you to look for what possible answer you may get if you solve the given equation, and this pretty one here, right? If you solve it for y. Okay, now, well, let's go for it. Let's do the tango or the mambo or whatever dance you want to use here, one step at a time. Okay, and because we have an equation in x and y, and I have to solve for y will be my variable, and I have to simplify everything in such a way that I will find, y equals something, pretty much like your option in your options for an answer. Looking at your equation, you have denominators, and I don't like to have denominators in my equation, so I need to find a common denominator here to multiply everything in such a way that the fraction lines will be gone. And I have a fraction over 2y and the second one over 3, right? What is the common denominator of 2y and 3? 2y and 3. Well, many of you will be able to say it right away that the common denominator of these two numbers will be nothing else but their product. So it's going to be 6y, which means you have to multiply the whole thing by 6y, okay? And I shouldn't have used that small multiplication sign there, not to, I don't want to confuse you guys. Okay, so now, using the distributive property, you're going to multiply that 6y to everything, every term, every expression, every number, I'm sorry, every term is better in this equation. And I have what? I have 6y times the first fraction here. So that will be 6y times 4x squared minus 1 over 2y. Next, minus. I'm going to multiply my 6y by 9y minus 5 over 3. So I have 6y times 9y minus 5 over 3 equals, do the same thing to everything on the right, 6y times z, right? Minus 6y times 3y. Okay? All right. Moving on, let's simplify. Looking at the first one here. 6y and 2y. Well, 2y goes in 6y 3 times. And I have 3 times 4x squared minus 1. 3 times 4x squared minus 1. Next, well, 3 from here goes in 6 2 times. And you have minus, right? The sign that's already there. Minus 2y times 9y minus 5 equal sign 6yz. Well, 6yz is 6yz. Nothing else I can do about it. Minus, I have 6 times 3, because you guys remember, the multiplications community, if I can multiply my numbers and my variables. 6 times 3 is going to be 18. Y times y, right? is going to be y squared. Moving on. Use the distributive property and multiply this 3 to everything inside here. Use the same property and multiply this 2y by everything inside this parenthesis. And you have what? 3 times 4x squared will be 12x squared. Minus 3 times 1 is going to be 3. Minus 2y times 9y is going to be 18y squared. Minus 2y times minus 5 is going to be positive 10y. And if you don't understand how I did it, just think about, if not multiplying your 2y by minus 5, right, will be negative 10y, right? Because you have a negative here, will be positive 10y equals 6yz minus 18y squared. Okay, now let's simplify this and move everything that has y or y squared or yz, any term that has a y in it, on the left side and everything else on the other side, right? So 12x squared has to be moved, and I will take away 12x squared from both sides. Minus 12x squared. Minus 3, well, that 3 should go away too, and I can make it 0 by adding 3 to both sides. Minus say 18y squared, that will stay, plus 10y stays, 6yz should go on the other side, minus 6yz, right? And I can write that thing down here, minus 6yz, okay? Minus 18y squared should go on the other side, so I'm going to add 18y squared plus 18y squared. And now this is it, right? It seems that all the y's will be on the left side. 12x squared minus 12x squared, nothing. Minus 3 plus 3, nothing. Negative 18y squared plus 18y squared, they go away too. And that was pretty much obvious, you know, when you have the same value on both sides of the equal sign, you can just cancel them off. Plus, and I have, well, let's not forget about this one. I have negative 6yz, right, plus 10y. Moving on the other side of the equal sign, I should use the same color. 6yz minus 6yz, nothing. 18y squared, nothing. Equals what? Negative 12. Negative 12x squared plus 3. Okay? Great. Now, on the left side, I'm going to put that y, I mean, I have to take that y as a common factor, but before that, how about multiplying everything by negative 1? And why I'm doing that? Because I want to have, you know, positive coefficient in front of the first number here. And I'm not switching their places. I'm not doing that, you know, switching this to places, because on my answers here, it looks like z has to be first and x squared has to be first. So I don't have to change them again in the end. I will just multiply everything by negative 1. And look what happens here. Negative 1 times negative 6yz is going to be positive 6yz. Negative 1 times positive 10 will be negative 10y, right? Equals negative times negative 12x squared is going to be positive 12x squared. Negative times 3 is going to be negative 3. And why I did that? Because like I said, I want to have, you know, a positive coefficient on my first term here. And you know what? We could have let it be that way and just do it at the end, but you know, I prefer it to be done now. Next thing, common factors on the left side of your equation is y, right? Will be y times, and now you're dividing the 6yz by y. What are you going to be left with? You know, I'm going to show you right here. 6yz, if you divide that by y, which goes outside as a common factor, right? What happens to your y? Y will go away and you will have only 6z, right? And will be y times that, y times 6z. So I have y times 6z minus 10y divided by y by the same approach will be minus 10. Okay, equals, well, 12x squared and negative 3, their common factor will be what? 3. So I can write equals 3 times 12 divided by 3 will be 4. 4x squared minus 1. And final step, or may not be final, but you know, the step that will leave my y by itself and basically complete my quest here to solve it is to divide everything by my y's coefficient. Okay, my y's coefficient is 6z minus 10. That should go away. And I will divide the other side by the same number, by 6z minus 10. And you know what? You can slow this down. You can pause it if I'm going too fast. Pause it and try to understand what I just did. But you know, it should be very easy for you to understand at this point. Many of you are juniors and seniors, so this algebra 1 thing shouldn't be a headache, right? Okay, simplifying. 6z minus 10 divided by 6z minus 10 is going to be 1. Eventually you can write here that, you know, 6z minus 10 should be different than 0. But for the purpose of this problem, that's not, you know, necessary. And I have y equals, left side, 3 times 4x squared minus 1. Okay, everything over 6z minus 10. Okay, but 6 and 10, they have a common factor, and that common factor is what? 2. So I can write this bottom expression as what? 2 times 3z minus 5. And I'm going to write that here at my final answer for y. 2 times 3z minus 5. And this is, you know, your equation solved for y. All you have to do now is to go back and write which and find which one of these answers is the right one. However, like I've said before, you have to make sure that, you know, this 6z minus 10 is different than 0, or you can just resume it to 3z minus 5 different than 0, which if you solve it, you will have what? Adding 5 to both sides, you find 3z different than 5. And if you divide by 3, you find that the condition, you know, the exclusion you have to use here will be that z has to be different than 5 over 3. Okay? And now I'm looking at my possibilities. Which one is the same like this one? A, y equals 3 times 4x squared minus 1 in parentheses over 2 times 3z minus 5 in parentheses. And yes, guys, this is the right answer. We have the same condition here, the same um, value that z cannot take, right? Same restriction. Z should be different than 5 over 3. Well, we got the same thing here. And this is the way you solve similar problems. And I know it was a long way, but hey, you know what? Tell me about it. Life is not easy, okay? Um, you have to keep working on it. Don't give up, right? Believe in yourself, and sky is the limit. Nobody can stop you as long as you think and you trust yourself. Just go for it. All right, guys. See you next time.